Hey everyone, this is Ben with RegisteredNurseRN.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can save a small fortune on textbooks throughout your college career. Now, buying textbooks can get very expensive. Some students pay as much as $250 up to $1,500 per semester just for textbooks alone, and that can really add up through the years. And some of the things that can impact the cost that you'll face each semester are the number of courses you'll take. You know, if you're taking 6-7 courses, then obviously your costs are going to be higher than if you're just taking a couple of courses. Also, the type of classes you'll take. If you're taking, for example, a business course or a health science course, you'll probably see that a lot of your textbooks are in the $100, $200, maybe even up to $300 range. Whereas if you're taking something like history or something like that, your textbooks will tend to be a little bit cheaper, maybe between $50 to $120. And another thing, of course, that will impact your textbooks is whether you're buying new or used and so forth. So in this video, I'm going to show you every single strategy I've ever used to save money on textbooks. Let's get started. The first thing you want to do is you want to get a list before your classes even begin of every single textbook that you're going to need for that semester. And one of the ways you can do that, a lot of universities in their bookstore, they will have the course number. So for example, if you've already signed up for classes, it'll have the course number, and you can go to a lot of the bookstores and they will have the course number on a little information sheet, and they will have all the textbooks there that you'll need for that course. The best thing to do is to take a piece of paper and a pencil and go there and write down either the name of the textbook and the author and the edition, or just simply write down the ISB number on the back. And the ISB number, some universities will put stickers over their ISBN numbers. Instead, you could always open it up to the first couple of pages, and it usually says on the first couple of pages what the ISBN number is. So you want to write that information down. Now, some universities do put that information online, and they will tell you in advance what textbooks you'll need. So if they do that, you can write it down through the online and not even have to fool about going to the university bookstore. Either way you want to do it, that's fine. The important thing is that you get a list of what textbooks you'll need to buy for that semester. Now, once you have that information, then you can compare prices through other outlets. Now, I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't support your local bookstore. If sometimes bookstores have competitive prices, and if you just want to go buy them there, that's fine. But I found that if you take the time to shop around, you can save hundreds of dollars per semester just by being a smart shopper. So first of all, you want to check all the online sources. And I would just take a sheet of paper and I would write down the price for each different online website, so that way I would know who has the cheapest price when it comes time to buy them. Amazon.com, eBay.com, Barnes & Noble, they tend to have the best prices online. And Amazon was usually the best for me, although sometimes on eBay I could find a great deal as well. So you want to look, jot down, maybe add it to your shopping cart or something, so that way you could go back and buy it once you've made your decision. But compare prices at each of those three places just by entering the ISBN in the search bar, or you can enter the author's name in the edition or whatever. But search on there, find the proper edition, and make sure what the price is. Now, you can also check local bookstores, and there might be a used bookstore or something in the area, and if so, sometimes they can offer cheap prices too. But I found that it's really hard to beat online prices a lot of times, so I would definitely recommend you check those online prices out. All right, the next tip I'm going to give you is to buy your textbooks early, because whether you buy them in the bookstore or online, if you wait till the last minute or if you wait till the first day of classes, the smart shoppers are going to snag up those cheap deals, and you're going to be left paying an extra $50 or $100 more probably per textbook. And the reason that is just because people will put textbooks on for cheaper prices wanting to get rid of them, and then students will go and snag those up, and then all that's left are the textbooks from other people. Or maybe they'll buy the used versions up and you'll have to buy the brand new version, and of course the new versions always cost more money, right? So buy your books early. Try to get it at least 2 weeks to a month before classes begin if you can. The next tip I can give you is buy used. Usually it's no problem at all having a used textbook for a class, and I would always buy used textbooks. The only problem you may run into is if some classes utilize a software program or something like that that comes with the textbook. Some of those will only have a one-time access. So if you're taking a class and you know the class requires the use of some software program or some access, some database or something, you want to make sure you'll be able to access that. But usually it's no problem at all buying a used textbook, and that can help save a lot of money right there versus the new textbook. Next, you want to buy older editions, and that's a trick a lot of students know about. And what textbook authors will do is they'll have, like, for example, a 7th edition, and then they'll go in the next year and they'll update just like a couple of statistics, or they'll make it a little more relevant by including a more recent news story or something like that in the textbook. And the main content really hasn't changed, okay? So if you go buy the new 8th edition, it might cost $200. But if you buy the 7th edition, which is basically the exact same material, you can sometimes buy that for $50 or $30. And some professors will even tell you up front, well, yeah, well, the 8th edition is required for the class, but if you use the 6th or 7th edition, that's fine too. So you want to find out if there's an older edition you can use, because that can help you save a ton of money right there. Another tip is sometimes you can buy international edition, or you may see on eBay people selling international edition, and usually that's the exact same version. It's even written in English, but it's an international version. And it might have a different ISB number and so forth. That is not always, it's a little of a gray area morally, because the textbook writers obviously don't want you doing that, because they write those international editions for international students. But sometimes you can get away with it. It just really depends. So watch out for that, but you can buy internationally and save some money. Another strategy is that you can rent books. And renting is something that's relatively new. Back in the day when I first started college, renting wasn't even an option. You couldn't rent anywhere that I knew of. But now most university bookstores will allow you to rent. Amazon.com has a renting program where they'll actually ship it to you and you ship it back to them at the end of the semester. And so renting is really becoming a big thing of the future. And my experience with renting is that usually you can save money for sure, but sometimes you can still come out cheaper by buying it and then reselling it at the end of the semester. It's something that you just need to look at for each book. And if it's only like a $10 or $15 rental, then you may want to just go ahead and do it for the sake of convenience. I know that I had a literature book that I had to buy, and it was like $55 towards the end of my program. And then when I went back to the bookstore, you could rent it out for like, I think $15. So you could do that, and that may save you some time of having to sell it at the end, and that's something to look out for. Also, ebooks are becoming a big thing. My only thing with ebooks is it can get kind of straining on your eyes, having to read every chapter and study everything online on a computer screen. But a lot of people I know have tablets and iPads and laptops and so forth these days. So if you want to buy an online book, check the prices. Sometimes it's cheaper, and some universities are even offering like a bulk purchase. Like you get all your textbooks, you pay like one fee, and you get all your textbooks digitally. And that's something you want to look into. I know at least one person, when my wife was in nursing school, for example, one of her friends did that, and they actually bought all their textbooks through the digital program. So you just want to compare renting versus ebooks versus the traditional books. Buy them early. Make sure to buy the older edition if you can. Buy them used. And those are some ways you can save money. Another thing is you can exchange with other students or share a textbook with students. For example, let's say you have a friend that you're in a dorm with and you're both going to take an anatomy class. Well, you can buy an anatomy book and just basically share that book and study together and have your own little study group. That's going to save you money, and one of you can buy one textbook and another of you can buy another textbook, and so you can just kind of split up the costs that way. Another thing that students will do is exchange. My wife had a friend one time in nursing school, and they took two different, like one took history one semester, and then my wife took the next semester, and she just gave her a book, and my wife exchanged another book that she had of a class that she hadn't taken yet. So you work out exchanges with friends or with your roommates or whatever. That's a great way to save money. Another question people will have is, should you ever get rid of your textbook? Should you sell your textbook? And the short answer is yes, sell the textbook. There's only a couple exceptions, but if you sell the textbook, you're going to get the maximum money you can get right after the semester's over. If you wait for half a year or 2 years, they'll probably come out with a new edition, and your textbook is going to be worth peanuts. You're not going to be able to sell it for anything. So try to sell it as quickly as you can once the semester's over. Now, there are some exceptions. For example, if you're in nursing school and you're taking the NCLEX, or you have to take HESI examinations every semester, you might want to hold on to those books until you actually pass the NCLEX and pass all the HESI exams. And then once you pass, you can get rid of those books. Additionally, if you're going to take a class that builds on another class, let's say, for example, you're a psychology major, you're taking something like Intro to Personality, and then you take another psychology class that builds on that, you may want to keep that textbook just a reference, but usually I would say get rid of that textbook. And then finally, some nurses, for example, will keep like a drug book, and they'll reference back to certain drugs. that they have to administer so they can find the information about them. They'll keep those sometimes. So those are some exceptions, but for the most part, sell your textbooks. And then when you do sell them, you want to make sure that you can get the most money you can. And how you do that is you want to sell them right around the time when schools are about to start again. So let's say you end at the December semester and then the January semester is getting ready to begin. Sell them around January time. Now in the spring semester, I would say go ahead and get rid of them, because some people will do it for summer classes and then some people might not buy them until fall. But go ahead and list them and get what you can out of them, because a new edition may come out over the summer. But for the most part, sell them as quickly as you can, and you want to sell them at the same places generally where you buy them. In my experience, Amazon.com, you usually get the most for your textbooks. You can also get a lot out of eBay sometimes, and even the bookstores will buy them back sometimes at pretty decent prices. So you will always want to make sure to sell those back, get your money back. And I found that I've actually made money sometimes. I've actually purchased a textbook at the right time, right before classes began, and I got a really cheap deal, and then I sold it right when classes started again the next semester, and I was able to make maybe $20, $30 off of it. So you can actually do that sometimes. So those are just some tips on how to save money. I know textbooks are so expensive, but I hope these tips work. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe to our channel.